This video already has 15 million views, and it was released yesterday.
Enough! Hey! No! No! Hey! Hey!
I apologize in advance. I came down with some nasty bug today, and my voice is hanging on by a thread. But several of you emailed me today, or otherwise messaged me and asked me if I'd seen this video. So I figure I owe it to you guys to go through this with you, to discuss what we can learn, and hopefully turn this into a learning experience. I am going to apologize. I need a cough drop. This is not a product placement. This is desperation. I apologize if you hear it rattling around in my mouth while I'm talking. I'm doing this for you guys, so go ahead and return the love and make sure to hit like, leave a comment, and make sure to watch this whole video because that's all the algorithm cares about. Let's see how this goes. It could be interesting.
No. Go away. Hey. Say. No.
Okay. I gotta pause it here. It would be dishonest of me to go through this video without a little bit of my own personal history. I used to live in Alberta, in grizzly country, and my wife and I used to go swimming in a river up there. Super cold, but we didn't carry bear spray because we were totally naive and just wandered around grizzly country. Not a super high density of bears, but still bears, so you should take precautions. This video at least is shared with us by Wilderness Escape Alberta. Now, the caption on TikTok reads that this is not Wilderness Escape's actual video, but they don't say who the video belongs to. So we're going to give credit as much as we can. Here's the story. A woman is visiting Wilderness Escape Alberta. She's rented a cabin, decides to take her dog for a walk. I have been trying to warn you guys about this for years now. I released a video a month before the deadliest bear attack in Alberta's history in Banff National Park. I've tried to warn you guys over and over and over again that dogs are more likely to cause a problem or a conflict than they are to prevent one. It doesn't mean that they can't prevent an aggressive encounter or an attack, but 9 times out of 10, they're going to cause it, even if they manage to somehow break it off. So she's out there, she's with her dog, she's by herself, and here's the kicker. She has no bear spray or other means to defend herself other than bear bells.
Hey. Stop. Enough. Hey. No. No. Hey. Hey. Stop it. Stop. Stop. Enough. No. Hey. Hey. Stop.
All right, this is incredibly serious. This is fundamentally different than 95% of all grizzly bear encounters, or rather I should say grizzly bear conflicts. This bear is not surprised, all right? This bear is choosing to be here. Typically, a wild bear is going to try and avoid people, but this one is not doing that. One of the first warning signs that I see actually is not the woman, and it's not the dog. I see trash cans in the background. This is a tourist area. I am sure that there are lots of responsible people in this complex who are trying their hardest to keep their trash away from bears, but I am willing to bet that somebody's not doing a very good job. And this bear, if I were to put money on it, I would bet you is a habituated bear. This is not typical behavior. This bear, while timid, views this individual and specifically her dog as a potential food source. That makes this potentially a very dangerous encounter. It is one of the most likely contributors to the fatal bear attack in Banff National Park. Doug Ingalls and Jenny Goosey were traveling with their dog Triss. And this is something that is totally lawful, legal in Banff National Park and in Canadian national parks generally. I am opposed to this policy. Domestic dogs should not be accompanying humans into the backcountry in grizzly country. I mean, even in black bear country, you got to be careful because we know that bears, grizzlies, and black bears will view dogs and cats and other domesticated animals as a potential food source. They will prey on these animals. From what I'm seeing here, that is exactly what is happening with this bear. She thinks she's found a meal. But fortunately for this lady, she's also pretty timid. She's not committed. And that is a huge stroke of luck. Because if this bear was committed, there is nothing this woman could have done. From my read of this bear's behavior, it sees that dog as a meal. And it's trying to decide if it can get it and get away with it, which places this woman in a very perilous situation. And bear bells aren't going to do jack.
Stop it! Go away! Go! Enough! Wait! Bad! Bad! Hey! Stop! Enough! Get! Go! Go!
I'm sure I don't have to tell this woman, but she's incredibly lucky. What we have here is an animal, likely a younger, less dominant animal, that is not very confident. And that works to this woman's advantage because she is able to yell, she is able to try and intimidate. Now, typically, if you startle a bear, if you stumble upon a bear and you start yelling, yes, the bear might run away. But if you watch my recent video on the bear attacks in Glacier, you know that does not always happen. And in cases of like mother grizzlies, yelling at them can actually trigger an attack. It can trigger that innate instinct to protect their cubs. I don't see any cubs here. I cannot tell if this bear is lactating. It looks like that's a possibility. If there are any bear biologists out there watching this, let me know your thoughts because I'd love to hear them. I don't see any cubs, but this is a bear looking for a food reward, and it is dialed in on that dog. She has no prayer of defending herself against this bear if it chooses to attack. But because it's not committed to the attack, because it's timid, she is able to yell. She is able to make herself seem intimidating. And you can tell this bear's like ducking and weaving. It's not sure if this is worth it. This woman is so fortunate. That is just the roll of the dice. She got a bear that was timid, that wasn't committed. And because of that, she was able to yell and keep this bear at bay. Now, she's also fortunate that her dog also seems pretty timid. This dog is not barking. This dog is not engaging this animal. It is hiding behind her. That's typically a bad thing if you don't have a means to protect yourself. But what that means is that her dog is not aggravating the bear. The dog's not charging the bear, not barking at the bear, not increasing the bear's aggression. It gets close. I would wager this bear was within like 3 or 4 feet. This is nuts. I hope that she's learned her lesson and she's never going to go out in grizzly country without a bare minimum of bear spray. A little caveat, if you're dealing with a potentially predatory bear, bear spray still has a really good record of pushing the bear off. There is, however, a somewhat higher probability that a bear that's focused in on a food reward, whether that's, if you've been hunting and you've harvested an animal and you have meat, or there's meat hanging in a location, it's far less likely that that bear is going to be pushed off super easily with bear spray. It still works most of the time, especially if you're in groups, but there is a possibility that bear spray would just be a temporary solution, not a permanent one. That is something that all of you should keep in mind as you're watching this video, because had she had bear spray, it would have almost certainly pushed the bear off, would have ended this, especially because the bear is timid. But don't expect for a minute that's a guarantee. These bears are individuals. Their motivations are their own. They're not carbon copies of one another. They have personalities. They have different motives. They have different experiences. When you're dealing with a bear, you are dealing with an individual. Keep that in mind. This individual was just teetering enough on that. I don't know. Oh, I'm hungry. Is it worth it? Okay, which is also the only reason why yelling and screaming worked. I think it was purely instinctual. All right. This is that fight or flight instinct that every single one of us has, but it can break either way. People can try and run, and she, in fact, does run once the bear has moved off a little bit. But she is in that fight mode, which she's just lucky that worked out for her, because there are other times where she would have been screwed. Again, clearly she did not plan this. She did not have enough foresight to think about this as a possibility, or maybe she thought it was a possibility, but not a real possibility. You'd be surprised how often that happens. All things considered, given the circumstances, given the very poor decisions that she made that led to this encounter, that made it so that she had really no defensive options, she did all right. She did all right. She was able to push it off. So good for her. I am super glad she got out alive, because this is nuts. For anybody who lives in this area, I would be very curious. Is this a bear that you are all familiar with? Is this bear a repeat offender? Is this bear habituated? If it is, I know that a lot of us don't like to ever euthanize bears because we value them. They are beautiful, they're powerful, they are critically important animals to a healthy ecosystem. But all the data that I have seen suggests that once these bears get habituated to human trash or food, and they're not acting scared and trying to stay away from people, this is potentially a very dangerous animal. This may just be a time bomb waiting to go off. Sometimes because people leave their trash out, sometimes because these animals get habituated to humans and begin to view humans as a source of food, there's really no choice but to remove them from the population. I've talked to Tom Smith about this, and he's just said, he doesn't want to see bears killed needlessly either, but he's told me, listen, if you have a bear that is habituated to human food or trash as a food reward, you can capture them, you can relocate them, but you're not breaking them. In his words, they're like meth addicts, which is unfortunate because they're incredibly beautiful, valuable animals that we can share space with, but it takes some responsibility on our part. And from this video, it's obvious that we as a species, we're still learning. So anyways, let's talk quickly about the bear bells. Everybody on the internet's got an opinion about bear bells, and I am no exception. You'll hear the jokes that how do you tell black bear scat from grizzly bear scat? And people think that they're clever, even though this has been repeated millions of times. So by repeating it, they're saying that they're not very clever. But a lot of people like to say that grizzly bear scat is recognized by the scent of bear spray and the presence of bear bells. That's not true. It's kind of tired. But so is the joke that you don't have to run faster than a bear, you just have to run faster than your friend, which is also dangerous bullcrap. I've talked to you guys about it. Bears will and have injured multiple people who run and panic. Don't run from a bear. So bear bells, I'm going to give you my opinion. I don't think it's a good idea to automate how you declare your presence in the wilderness. I think it's a very bad idea. Situational awareness is priceless in the wilderness. It doesn't even have to be grizzly bear country. So people who are just blaring speakers, people who are wearing bear bells, I get it. I understand. The problem is that it's keeping you from being engaged with the environment. And even if you're still engaged with the environment, you're just assaulting the wilderness with an unnatural cacophony of the most dreadful noises. As far as headphones and speakers go, don't wear headphones. You need your ears when you're around in grizzly bear country. You need to be able to hear what's happening around you. It's like your radar. If you were to compare yourself to a ship or a jet or something moving through a potentially hostile environment, why would you want to do that without your radar? That's insane. Why would you do that? Keep your ears up. And if you have a speaker blaring, headphones are just idiotic. But if you have a speaker blaring, yeah, you're probably going to announce your presence. Yeah, you're probably going to avoid any, negative encounter. But at the same time, other people don't get a vote in whether or not they want to hear your music. And people did not go to the wilderness to listen to Pearl Jam, Eminem, or, I don't know, Taylor Swift. That's not why people go there. People who want to listen to those bands and those individuals, they go to a concert. They go to screaming crowds so they can listen to that live. People who are in the wilderness, they came for a different reason. And it's kind of discourteous to assault the wilderness with those noises. That said, I understand the impulse. People are really nervous in these areas. I think there's a better way. I think that you should just remain attached to the landscape, aware of what's happening around you. And if you're automating kind of your preventative bear safety measures, I think that that's pretty discourteous to other people, to the wilderness. And I think it's a net negative for your safety as well. If you're engaged with the environment, you're much better off. On top of that, there's lots of cool stuff and wildlife that we want to see in the wilderness. Why would we spend all of our time trying to scare everything away? That's why I really push people towards that layered defense that I talk about in my Bear Attack ABCs video. You don't have to be perfect if you have an intelligent layered strategy. Now, there's a lot of things that you can do solo. When I go out solo in grizzly bear country, I carry my bear spray in my hand. I'm really paying attention to what's going on. But I prefer traveling with other responsible people because then I don't have to do everything perfectly. And I know that that's just a really solid, almost impervious defensive strategy. So I would push you in that direction rather than bear bells or speakers or in any way automating your preventative bear safety measures. The next thing about bear bells, and the same goes for bear horns. I've had a lot of you guys ask me about bear horns. Bear horns absolutely can work, just like bear bells can work, just like clapping your hands and yelling, "Hey, bear" can work. We see it here. She's yelling at this bear. It can work. The problem is that if that bear is more, if the bear that you encounter is more committed than the bear she encountered, you've got nothing. Your bark has absolutely no bite and you're screwed. So I really like to push people towards a deterrent that bites back, that can assault the bear in some way or another and say, you made the wrong gamble. This is not worth it. That is why bear spray is awesome. You can walk around with it in your hand. I've talked about this. Sometimes people stumble on these bears at 15 feet. If you're walking around with a hand cannon out in front of you, just out in the wilderness because you're that paranoid, you're an idiot. Please stay home. But for bear spray, if you're by yourself, if you're in heavy cover, if you've seen bears around, if you've had an encounter, you can carry that in your hand. So yeah, you're a moron if you don't take bear spray. This is not a guns versus bear spray situation. You want to have a full toolkit that has you covered. And bear spray really helps with that. In this case, she could have had it in her hand. Yeah, she probably wasn't going to get it first time because this bear is swirling around her. But a little bit of practice with that, and she would have been in really good shape to send this bear on his way. So take bear spray. It's $40. I understand we're all cheap, especially with the morons of the world making gas prices just soar. Everything's so expensive right now. This is not the area to trim the budget. If you're in grizzly country, bare minimum, bear spray, no exceptions. Anybody who tells you there's an exception is a flippin' moron. As far as the firearm situation goes, a firearm may have worked, but this is Canada, so there are some additional regulations, some restrictions. You'd have to have a permit and a pretty good excuse for pulling that trigger with all these cabins in the way, and you'd have to make sure that you're doing it responsibly. There's a lot of additional stuff that you got to track while a bear is running around you. There are cars in the background. I see cabins. The last thing this world needs is an errant bullet shooting through somebody's window, their car, and striking somebody. It's not that an intelligently selected firearm can't be an excellent tool in the proper hands. You just have to be aware there's a lot of additional stuff that you have to track if you're going to try and use a gun for self-defense, especially in Canada. So anyways, keep that in mind. So bear horns, bear flares, cracker rounds, stuff like that. I have nothing against them. They all have a very important place in a full toolkit, but they do have a serious flaw that if you come across a bear that's committed, you've got no way to tell that bear no if it decides to ignore you, if it calls your bluff. And this bear could have done that at any second during this encounter, and it would have won. Outright, no question. All right, let's finish it up. Let's see how this ends.
Stop it!
All right, so she starts running. Not a great move, but the bear had already kind of moved off. I think she had managed to convince it was not worth it. So good for her. Oh, I'm so happy for everybody. I'm happy for the bear. I'm happy for the dog. I'm happy for the person. Everybody lives, and we all get a video that we can learn from. Although, I guess if you have no bear spray and no way to defend yourself, you might as well record it on the off chance that you survive. You can show the world what a lucky person you are. And she is indeed a very lucky person. Now, I will say, at first, I was a little nervous that this might be an AI-generated video because those are everywhere. People are constantly producing just AI slop, making it so cats chase bears away from babies or bears are on somebody's porch swing. Oh my gosh. God help us in the AI age. We are in so much trouble. So let's go through a couple of things that make me pretty convinced that this is the real McCoy. That this, in fact, did happen. For one, the length of the video. If you know much about AI-generated videos, at least currently, this will not always be the case, but at least currently, AI-generated videos are very expensive to generate, and typically they're capped at around 15 seconds. This video, I'm not sure about the length, but it's much longer than 15 seconds. So that is a mark that makes me think that this is legit and not just more AI trash floating around the internet. The next thing that makes me think that this is legitimate is that typically in AI videos, you're going to have the motion's going to be unnaturally smooth. This is not a smooth video. This is a shaky video. The motion blur, the stutter, the rolling shutter, all of those things make me think that this is legitimately captured on somebody's phone. The next and probably the last thing that I'll talk about is the environment. So if you're watching AI videos, there's a lot of logical incontinuity in AI videos. And please think about this next time you're on the internet and you see something. Think critically about it first, because there's so much garbage out there. So what typically happens with AI generated videos is that the algorithm is just trying to it's just trying to recognize patterns. It doesn't actually understand the physical world because it has no senses to understand the physical world. It's just trying to duplicate something that it's been quote unquote trained on. So what ends up happening is that people will move through a scene unnaturally. Their clothes will change. They'll go behind something and vanish, or they'll just appear out of nowhere. They're just logical incontinuities. And as I watch this video, I've been watching the gate, I've been watching the garbage cans, I've been watching the cars. All of those seem pretty consistent. I can't find anything that would suggest to me that they are AI generated. So I think this is legit. I don't think it's the greatest idea to record a bear encounter like this. There was nothing else you could do, so I guess why not? Why not record it? This might be your last will and testament. Might as well have it on record so that your family knows what happened to you. This woman's incredibly lucky that she survived, and the rest of us are incredibly lucky that we can now look at this and learn from it. This was potentially a very dangerous situation. I'm concerned that this is a habituated bear, and if it is, it may just be a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. And as much as I don't like bears being euthanized, that's something that I think should be considered in this case. If you have a bear that's approaching a human being like this, you can shoot it with rubber bullets, you can shoot cracker rounds, you can spray it with bear spray, but there is a very real possibility that bear is going to just keep coming back if it thinks it can get a food reward from people. Never go out in grizzly bear country without a deterrent. I would advise you not to take your dog into grizzly bear country, and I wish Parks Canada would repeal that policy. I understand that people like taking their dogs. I am a dog person. I've had them for most of my life, but not in grizzly country, not taking them. And I'd advise you guys to do the same. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really appreciate those of you who reached out to me. Do you have any additional questions? Is there something that I neglected? Is there something that you saw that we didn't discuss? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit like. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done it already. A huge thanks to my Wild Spaces team members. If you value the facts and the fundamentals over AI slop and the internet's general bull, please join the Wild Spaces team. Join the crusade against misinformation. And all you got to do is click join below this video or head over to Patreon and join our team there. You can also click thanks below this video and make a one-time contribution. Every little bit helps. The facts and fundamentals are really struggling in the age of the internet and AI. The only way that they're going to succeed is if we all band together and tell the internet and our overlords that we value truth. And the only language they understand is engagement. So anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to go get some rest, and hopefully I didn't just fry my voice tonight. But I did it for you guys because you deserve it. So anyways, until next time.